Think we
Hello.
were
Yeah,
grading.
I think we were grading and got kicked out. Now we're back. I apologize. PC crash. Spend all this money on an Alienware computer and it takes a shit on you. So that's always wonderful. Going back to the live draft where we were at, I think we were talking about the George Kettle was that pick.
Yep.
Behe, Go Carnage, Panthers. I think that's where we left off on. I asked you your opinion and my PC crapped out of me. So let me try this again. What is your opinion on that pick?
I was saying that I think it's a strange pick, but I think I have an idea on why they did that. First of all, he's a good player, good tight end,
Mhm.
but I have a more of a in-depth idea why I think they did that,
Okay.
and it could be a bold strategy. But like I was saying, I plan on having Behe and Gabe on for a quick interview as soon as we're done with these last couple of picks. And Behe's going to be first, so we can ask him a few questions.
Great. So we'll get into that. Let's do the final pick, Mr. Irrelevant. The final pick of the draft is the Falcons linebacker Deion Jones, and we'll see where we're at here. Um, Linebacker. I don't know if he's middle or not. Yep, he actually is here. Primetime performer puts him at a 93 overall. Does that sound about right?
Yep.
So the last pick in the draft in the fourth round here. Kind of select something a little different. Two offense, two defense. They picked Mike Vick in round one. Round two, they picked Jadeveon Clowney. Round three, Eddie George. Round four, Deion Jones. So a nice middle linebacker there. Now, this middle linebacker, I would imagine, just by looking at his stats, looks like more of a coverage linebacker. Um,
Yeah, a user.
Definitely a user at an 88 speed, tackle 92. You feel this is the guy that one of these somebody on his team will be playing with as the final pick there. Um, Now, looking at the Saints' overall pick, Michael Vick, Dave Clowney, Eddie George, and Deion Jones, first four rounds. How do you feel they did by the end of the time here? What are we looking at?
About that same range I'm giving everybody else. About a B to um, about a B to B plus, B minus, some one of the Bs.
One of the B's. So who here? I mean, looking at it all, let me pull this over so I can slap it up there as the draft ends. Let me pull this up over here. Dropped it there. Now, this is the who picked who owners EFL player draft, MUT player draft. I'm tossing up. You probably can look at the same um, spreadsheet. Looking through, who do you think won the draft in the MUT player draft?
Um, I got to go with the Eagles. Like I said, I think they took two players who were first round picks, and they got them in the first and second round. And then they got Amari Cooper, I think you can argue is a second round pick. And then they got a good user with Leighton Vander Esch.
Gotcha. Who do you think did the worst in the draft?
IR Brady.
You're calling it the Giants. Julio Jones, Roquan Smith, Darius Slay, and Aaron Rodgers. You feel that is the worst going at it there?
When you hear those players, you don't think it's the worst. But with MUT cards and the way MUT works,
Mm-hmm.
it's I would have to say it's the worst.
Gotcha. So you're putting them on the blast there as the worst MUT draft. If I had to choose the best and the worst, and I'm just throwing it out there. Now, this is strictly how I feel personally. Has nothing to do um, to uh, with a whole. I don't play a whole lot of MUT. I've got like an 86 overall, and that's thanks to the new Michael Vick they released. So I don't play a whole lot of verses. I play a lot of the single player. I enjoy it. I like the challenges and stuff like that. But I actually really like the Chargers picks. I like the Deion Sanders, Earl Thomas, Chad Johnson, Jerry Rice pick. I'm also with you on the Eagles. To me, it's kind of right there together. It's hard that they didn't really take a quarterback but after Mike Vick, Steve Young, and realistically, if they probably should have chose McNabb there at the fifth, but realistically, Deion Sanders, I don't think that's a bad pick there. I think they probably did the best with where they fell in the middle of the draft. Me personally, I feel that way. Um, Probably the worst. I had to pick the worst out there. Um, I think who surprised me the most is Beastie with the Texans, but I don't think he did bad. I think he still did really solid with his picks. I like the first, second, and third round, or first, second, and third teams. The Saints, the Panthers, and Texans look good. The Titans, I think, picked what they were good at. And then I like the Eagles. So I would have to go with the Giants as well. I mean, if I'm talking about just me personally, how I feel, I would probably have to vote with you on the Giants. So the Giants got a little bit coming from the first round and then picking at the last. I feel there was players available, at least the first 2 rounds, that they could have grabbed that were better than the players on the board that they had. Just me personally, I think they could have probably done a little better. And at round pick 4, why even bother? Nobody else picked a quarterback, so why even bother at that point to grab Aaron Rodgers in round 4? You know, you could probably still would have played with him, and it would have been fine as your 5th special pick, you know, as your 90 plus overall.
Right.
So the question that goes, you've got Michael Vick is going to the Saints. Steve Young is playing on the Texans. The Panthers didn't pick a quarterback. I mean, who do you think they'll use as a quarterback? Do you think that'll be their 5th? That's where they're going to store their 5th player at?
I would guess, yeah.
I mean, and the same with the Patriots. I mean, the Patriots also didn't pick. They picked Tyreek Hill, Arenas Williams, Ray Lewis, Calvin Johnson. Their 5th pick. I mean, unless they want to use an 80 to an 83.
You get 5 90s on each side of the ball.
Oh, 5 90s? I thought you said 5 80s to 83.
You get 5 90s. Okay, on each side of the ball, you get 5 pretty much upper cards, and
upper
then you
cards.
Get 5.
So they could be 90s?
Yeah.
That's broke. I was totally off on the whole. How do we get 2 hours almost into this, an hour and a half into this, and I just realizing you can have 5 on each side? I thought, because I thought I made it clear, you get your 2 that you pick, right, on offense and defense that are plus.
Yeah.
You then get 1 more, whether you want to use it on offense or defenses, and that's your 5's done. You're saying you get 3 more 90s on each side of the ball?
Oh yeah.
That's broke. Why? I mean, at that point, all you're doing a draft for is saying these are the guys you can't use. Yeah, there's still a ton of guys out there that are 90s plus.
Right. We just wanted to at least get, like, you know, the Randy Moss. Not everybody having Randy Moss, and not everybody using Tyreek Hill. We just wanted to separate that. Like I said, we're willing to make changes in the future based on what the community thinks.
And you've built teams like this on Mutthead, and they've came out with 85 overalls, right? I mean,
it's about an 85 to 86 overall on each side of the ball.
Really? I don't think I have 5 on my Mutt team. On my Mutthead, I don't think I have 5. I would like to have this Mutt team I just built here. This is badass, but I don't think I have 5 90s on each side of the ball on my Mutt team, and I'm an 85 or an 86.
That's why I said we allowed people to draft and get an idea with a week for what you have.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's why I went head coach also. I knew I couldn't compete. I'd have to open my wallet, and Madden's already got more than enough money from me in the last few years. I'm not trying to pay any more. But now, I mean, with what I have,
take your money.
56 overall, and I've got a lot of 90s up here right now. Wow. Okay, so I'm complete. So realistically, this is just who you can't use and who you can't, because you could still build a solid. I mean, you still got a solid spot at a quarterback. I'm almost positive I wouldn't have taken Aaron Rodgers at all, because you can always get a 80 plus quarterback there no matter what, right? I mean, easy. I mean, you can get a 90 quarterback there. I mean, you still got Baker Mayfield sitting on the board. You could have easily. You've got a choice between 2, Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield. Why not just leave it? Why waste the pick, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's many people going with an Aaron Rodgers at that point. Okay, so let's get into the interviews real quick, and then let's hurry through this if we can before my computer decides it wants to take a shit again and then totally ruins our show.
All right, I'm going to get Behe in there.
Get Behe in here. Let's talk to the owner of the Panthers, Behe and Goat Carnage, going with the Randy Moss, Anthony Barr, Patrick Peterson, and George Kittle. We can ask him what made him pick a tight end in that last little bit there. Hey, Behe, are you here with us?
There he is.
What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
I sure am. Let me pull up the Google Doc.
Yeah, the Mutt draft is over. You picked Randy Moss, Anthony Barr, Patrick Peterson, George Kittle. Now, the question I wanted to really ask you, and I can't hold off to wait, George Kittle in the 4th round, tight end. Why?
It's honestly very, very easy. The speed was a factor, and considering that we went Randy Moss and we were going to build on speed, I felt like we had to keep it up because it's going to force people to watch those corner routes that are going to go out, especially for 91 speed. It's going to get there quick. When I was scrimmaging against a lot of people, I think people were budgeting towards the 83 overall Kittle for 88 speed for an 83 overall. And I just felt like I took a lot of that away with the Kittle pick.
Yeah, I mean, you still have Dallas Clark out there you can use if they're getting it. The Legends, Kellen Winslow, which is out there. I think none of them I don't think have as much speed. I think we're kind of going through that now. As Kittle.
Yeah.
Let me see. Kittle. I did. Overall, you're talking about the 92 Kittle is where you feel like you're going to be at, right?
Yeah, it's going to be the team of the week. It's a glitchy card to use. It catches a lot of high fades, which is really good. But you're asking me Kellen Winslow, Clark, and all that.
Yeah, they're all
the
slower.
only thing I asked back is how come when I went in scrimmages I didn't see these same cards? It was purely Kittle.
They're there. Yeah, and I agree.
No,
I use Kittle because I got Kittles, but I got a lower level Kittle, so it's just kind of the situation. I was just wondering why you chose. Why you chose a tight end at that pick. I was just surprised to see it. So what your thought process is? I was going to take him away from everybody else to use against us, right? I mean, that was your thought process.
So towards the end, it was one thing that I looked at. I looked at it too. I looked at the draft board. I was surprised that the only quarterbacks to go were the first 3 that were picked. So I felt confident that we were going to be able to keep Cam Newton.
Absolutely.
Because our ideal lineup was built around getting Cam Newton. Aaron Rodgers, I don't think was viable for us. So knowing that we're going to get Christian McCaffrey, we're going to get the Cam Newton, we have the Randy Moss. The only other thing that I was really hoping probably would have fallen to us was Julio Jones to lock up Julio and Randy. That would have been the offense because Cam Newton's not going to get picked. I knew Anthony Barr was going to be there at that pick that we got him, and I know I would have lost him anytime after that. So like I said, I don't believe in any other receivers that came out besides the Julio. If that was there, I would have picked it. But long term, I looked at the end of it. The speed is everything you need, and if you get that out of a tight end position, I don't have to get that extra wide receiver. So it kind of helps out.
What I was
go ahead,
going to say,
Absolutely.
what I was going to say is very, very, very much like he said. My thought process was kind of exactly what B did. So with you getting the 583s Abyss, I don't know why I said Abyss. That's Commish Ice. The thing that he did, which was smart, is most people are probably going to go with quarterback, running back, and maybe 3 wide receivers or 2 receivers and a lineman as their 90 and aboves. And what B did is take away the best 80 to 83 tight end in George Kittle, who has 88 speed. So now because he drafted the 90 George Kittle, no one else can take any type of George Kittle. So now people have to rethink their strategy at tight end.
Yeah, well, they're going to have a slower.
So now what's going to happen? They're going to lose the tight end. They're going to gain a slot receiver. Don't get me wrong. They are going to gain a slot receiver. However, defensively, I have Anthony Barr that can cover sideline to sideline. I know our user safety is the Atwater, that's sideline to sideline, and Patrick Peterson. So I'm not as scared as 3 wide receivers out there. And I just felt like towards us building our team, I was looking at it. I knew tight ends weren't going to get picked, just because it's not the ideal user card. I just knew when I was looking at people that I'm scrimmaging against, they're budgeting towards that Kittle card. Everyone had him. So why not take it? And when I knew I'm getting Cam Newton, and, you have a lot of running backs still available. Like,
absolutely.
The Ricky Williams pick threw me off. Barry Sanders is a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
But you have Walter Payton still there. I don't know if people know how glitchy LaDainian Tomlinson is.
Yep.
Christian McCaffrey's a glitch code on itself. And you know how our league runs from where we've come from. It's all about the Texas route and being able to run outside. Christian McCaffrey does that. So once our line was already set up on that, I knew they weren't getting drafted. Kittle's a no-brainer. I'm watching Kittle right now and my second line play against Aries in them, and he just caught a deep 80-yard touchdown pass over the top because they had to lock down Randy Moss. So, just looking at that I'm looking at right now, I just felt like I really changed the game when it came to the tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at more in depth when I started the draft because my understanding of how we're building teams was wrong. I thought you picked 2 and then you have only that one spot left to use of 90s. You're only allowed to have 5 total on your team, not 5 on each side of the ball. That completely changes the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, I agree with what you're saying. I have a Shannon Sharp card that I'm upgrading. I'm not anywhere near where it needs to be, but if the people put in more time than me, then you could get a 98, which overall Shannon Sharp, 99 overall Shannon Sharp. I mean, you're not there yet, probably a 96, but your speed is very comparable to the kennel at 90 speed Shannon Sharp. So you get a top, I mean, you're looking at 92 overall, and then the speed kind of goes out the door. But if you're seeing when you're playing against people that they're including and you just took that away from them, now they've got to go out and figure out what else is next. I don't know how bad that's going to hurt them. We'll only find out if that's a good strategy, I guess, by the end of the season. But again, kudos for or whatever for thinking that's the way to go. But I agree with you on the quarterbacks. I mean, if you look pick, why bother? I agree. I mean, you look at what's there. Why bother picking a quarterback? Because there's tons of available good ones after the Mike Vick is gone, the Steve Young. Who cares at that point, right? They're McNabb. After those three are gone, who really? I mean, you can kind of who do you like to play with at that point? It doesn't matter. You can grab any other one that's available. The Eddie George, the Barry Sanders, and the Ricky Williams. With those gone, again, who cares with running backs? You have so many. Fournette, you have so many good running backs still out there that you can grab at a very high 90 value and use one of those 90 spots. So I agree with your mentality there. You're trying to throw a wrench in everybody else's build. I guess we'll find out if it works out or not for you. Really, do you have anything for Behe? Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, I think just overall, again, it went smooth. I know we started it earlier, but I'm kind of glad that we were able to put this together at the end. Like I said, I think everybody drafted really well. You could see, if you really look at the draft, you can see where people, I could say the Chargers, you have Aries there who's going to want the wide receivers and the DBs, and what did they draft for Aries? DBs and wide receivers. So a lot of these teams drafted towards their top player strengths, and you're going to see that. You're going to see it in the Michael Vicks and the Eddie George. You're going to see it, like I said, the Aries picks, the defensive line with the Lawrence Taylors and the Clownies, how that's going to play in. And I'll tell you one card don't sleep on, and it's probably going to be the guy you bring in next, but don't sleep on that Cowboys linebacker, because I know you guys heavily question that. And I'm telling you that's probably hands down the third best pick.
Marcus Ware? No, I think you misunderstood because which one?
Van Der Esch, the 90 overall Football Outsider, Cowboys.
Yes,
you have this guy is 6'4" with a lot of jumping. You can't get that over that guy.
Yeah,
you're gonna see that.
I know I questioned it, but that's probably my inexperience in playing MUT versus. But I question it, and I'm honest to say that I don't know. I don't know if that was the take off the board at that time, but again. I don't know. I guess we'll talk to the Eagles. Gabe knows more than I do when it comes to versus. Way more than I do. Probably the same as you. You play a lot more versus than I do, so you probably know way more than I do regarding that. I'm kind of a rookie at the versus. So you know what teams that you go up against when you play versus, when you're playing competitive. You know what these guys like to use, what is dirty. And Madden always has its special players, so I could completely be off on that.
Yep.
To me, I don't think it was the best pick at that time, but again, you start adding in users, you start adding in playability, who likes to use who, then you completely throw out. Because I know people that can make a crappy card look very good, user-wise.
Yeah, well, I would say, who's your top 5 linebackers?
Me personally, my top 5 linebackers, only because of... how I play, I like the DeMarcus Ware. I like the Anthony Barr's got to be my top, hands down. But that's just me. Remember, you're talking about a defensive lineman, so it's a little. I'm going to be a little biased. I like LT. I think that was one of the best.
So, are you happy that Khalil Mack didn't get picked up in the draft?
Yes and no, because I'm pretty sure my team doesn't have Khalil Mack, so it doesn't matter that it's going to suck for everybody because they have to go against Khalil Mack. But again, you can only use him 2 out of the 3 downs that you can go up against. You can't use him 3 times in a row. So you can use him first.
Well, no,
if he
defensive lineman
can't use him, first and second.
Khalil Mack's a defensive lineman. He's an end.
No, I don't think so. Is he?
Yeah.
See, because I had this argument the other day. They do have an end. See, I had an argument with somebody the other day, and he's like, no, they have him as a, and I was like, no, I'm sure I
put the Khalil Mack over Lawrence Taylor and Clowney in a 4-3 scheme because those cards don't belong in a 4-3 scheme, which is the whole out of position argument you can make.
Yes,
but if you
agree.
look at the pure ends, there are so many ends to where you don't even have to touch that bubble to get an LT, and instead of getting an LT, really get a user linebacker like an Anthony Barr, the Ryan Shaziers.
But he technically is out of position there. You look up Khalil Mack, he is an outside linebacker.
No, what
he
makes
is.
that?
He is
What makes him an outside linebacker?
I don't make the rules.
He went to
I'm looking at it right now.
4-3 scheme.
Pro Football Reference.
He went to a 4-3 scheme.
Khalil Mack is an outside linebacker. I'm just saying. So technically, he's out of position on the Mudhead. I agree. I think I like him in the middle. I'll put him as a defensive tackle all day long and run the hell out of him, push him in the middle. But I'm just saying, I had an argument the other day. There was people in the party with me, and I'm like, nah, dude, he's a defensive line. And they're like, no, dude, he's an outside linebacker. Look him up. And I did. I'm going to Pro Football Reference right now. I've got it shown on the screen. Khalil Mack's outside linebacker for the Chicago Bears. That's where they got him. So, yes, they went to a 3-4 scheme, so he plays outside linebacker, but realistically, he's a straight pure rusher. I understand that. But one of the problems that I had
in a 3-4
with the
scheme when he was there with the Raiders.
And I'll be the first to lay it down, I'm 100% negative behind this. It irritates the hell out of me that the rule in the system is, and of course this proves that I don't make the rules, I just pay the bills. If you put DeMarcus Ware on the left end blitzing, because you can do that legally. In the league, you can put DeMarcus Ware on left end, right end, whatever you may need to do in order to push through, or Lawrence Taylor. If the user uses him, because you can play lineman, he acts as a lineman at that time, I get the sack. Now, if you run a 3-4 just out of the blue, and then all of a sudden you blitz him, and you get a sack with him, how can you tell the difference at the end of the season whose sack is what? You go, oh, was that yours? I don't know if that one was yours or not, so I'm going to give you those sacks. I'm going to take those sacks. It's very gray area. We have to be very honest with each other and hold each other's hands, to where if I look at the stats at the end of the game, it will say Khalil Mack left.
This is what
4 sacks.
This is what don't make
sense.
Sacks. This is what don't make sense to me. You're having an honest conversation, because in my opinion, what makes it any different if I was to take an out of position Jarrell Peppers at the linebacker, because I could run a 4.6 speed package and still put him there. So why couldn't I use that promo? Just an example, So to me, if that card says linebacker, he's a damn linebacker. If you're gonna want to pick him up, then you should build towards a 3-4 scheme and have him as that blitzing linebacker. And like I said, there is that gray area, but I can name some defensive ends that should have been picked up, but no ends got picked up in this draft.
Yeah, that's going to be dirty.
The only pass rushers they got picked up was Clowney and Taylor, and they were pretty close to going to the same team if you look at the draft board. But just in general, I mean, you have the Khalil Mack, you have the Jabal from the Colts, you have a Reggie White that's an animal. There's a lot of ends that are not picked up that are still not going to get picked up because these linebackers are going to fill that position. I just don't like it. I just think it's a cheeky way around the rule, but, it is what it is.
Well, I thought 590s. I was sitting here thinking, literally, you're 2 on your defense, right? And then you're 1, you have to decide whether you want to play it on the offense or defensive side. So if you picked up a running back, a wide receiver, of course you're 3rd. Because you can only have 3, you would use that 1 freebie. I didn't think there was 5 on each side of the ball, and you're only drafting 2. So that gives you 390 spots you can use anywhere on each side of the ball. That, to me, becomes absolutely broke. Now, I haven't built teams, so I don't know. But from what you're telling me on the defensive side, I can add another 90 linebacker, another 90 cornerback. I can add another 90 plus a defensive tackle. Shit, I can add 2 defensive tackles, and that completely removes the need to have any kind of blitzing linebacker for me.
Yes, you do have that, but also you're going to see it. You're going to have some major holes once you start hitting those 83 overalls. The recognitions hit 60s and 70s, which is going to be rough. So where do you value putting those 90s? Now, we're coming in the league with the Michael Vicks, the McNabs, and I really believe that you needed ends. Like, that would be a shutdown corner and maybe a shutdown user safety. But there was a lot of other cards that we could have used in other promos that aren't allowed that were good user cards in those 83 overalls, which would have been fine. Wow. But you're going to see those other holes happen because I guarantee you defensive tackles for the whole league are going to be 70 overalls.
You think so?
Your offensive line. Well, look at the draft board. Your offensive line, they're all going to have to either be 70s or 83s because with everybody getting these tight ends, wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, the lines aren't going to be good, so you should have invested in ends, in my opinion.
You can only have one. From the math I was just understanding, correct me if I'm wrong here, realist, because your staff, I'm not. I'm still trying to understand. This is the first beta season. I'm trying to figure it all out as we go. Mm-hmm. We're making some errors, I agree, but that's just, we're going to figure this shit out. So the first, you get 5 on each side of the ball, 90 or aboves, right?
No, it's labeled at 85 overalls or higher.
Okay, so 85 overalls or higher. So I can have 90
any card
pluses.
That's 85 or higher.
Okay, right.
Yes.
So I can have 5
so you
guys.
Have 5 of them.
Technically, if I could, of course I can't, but if I can have 5 guys, they can all be 99s. Technically speaking, right? I mean, you can because of the way it works out, but let's just say. Then you have another 5 that is 80, between 80 and 83, right? So you got an 83 cap.
84 and lower. No, you categorize 84 and lower. Your next 5 guys are 84
it's 83 and lower.
83 or lower. Okay, so then you got 5 guys that can be 83. So right there you have one guy on your team that's going to be a 74. That's it, one dude.
But also you have to have other people in there for fill-ins as well. Like, because you're going to need those fatigue. Otherwise, there are some good 70 overalls you could put in there. But your slot receiver could potentially be that 70 overall, or if nobody runs a tight end scheme, then that tight end becomes a 70 overall. The fullback has to get filled. That's a 70 overall.
So you went
if
from
you're pass happy, maybe
the 1 weak spot, unless your guys are tired, you run a long offense or long defense, and then you're going to see some of those 70s rotating in and out.
One thing that I know that's really good that works for the league too is there is fatigue. Believe it or not, in this, it's not a setting we could turn on and off.
No, I know that's awesome.
So if I keep running my Randy Moss deep, and I have no fill-ins or no legitimate fill-ins, and then kickoffs and kick returns and all that, he's going to be super tired and he's not going to be effective. So you're going to still have to scout those 70 overalls.
Yes, you're still going to have some 70 overalls, but they're going to be sprinkled throughout the offense and defense due to fatigue. So later in the game, I could see them sprinkled in more and more. I completely understand and agree with that. However, your starting lineup is going to be 5 that could be 99, 5 that can be 83, and 1 that's a 74. That's how your starting lineup can look like.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, the way my line is set up, I'm telling you right now, where 2 of my linemen are 74 overall linemen, just by the way we want to run our offense. And that's puts us in a hole because we don't have a lot of run opportunities up the gut.
Yeah, right? Definitely.
And that's only if you're wanting to be pass happy. If you're not wanting to be pass happy, you only have that one good receiver. You have a couple 83 overall receivers, and you may have a couple good guards or tackles. But I still think it's balanced just right because even though you may have all 80s on offensive line, that still can happen on the defensive line. So it's still going to balance and be budgeted, which I'm completely fine with.
My defense better give me at least 190 plus because they can use out of the 5 guys they have on defense, they can give me 1. One
exactly.
guy. That's all I want. One guy to use her. That's it. I'm done.
And that's the thing. You got to show your D-line some love. Otherwise, you ain't getting the pressure.
Exactly. I like the way you think, Behe. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Appreciate you hopping in. Thank you for running over your draft. Hopefully your team works out well, and good luck to you this season.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yep. Take care. You have somebody else you want to bring in, Realist, real fast while we wrap up the show? Before we wrap up the show?
Yeah, supposed to be bringing in the Eagles owner, Gabe.
if Gabe wants to hop in here real fast, and then we will shut it down.
Invited him. Give him a couple minutes. So what did you think about Behe's explanation about the Kittle pick?
I'll be honest. I think it was a little bit of a reach, but I don't think it was far reach. If he's seeing that, like again, you're talking. I know Behe has more experience than me. I know he has more experience in a versus. I'm not saying he's better than me in a team up. I'm not saying one way or the other. I think we both play different positions, so I'm not comparing my dick size to his. However, what I'm saying is, for me personally, I don't see the reason of cutting off George Kittle other than to say, haha, you fuckers can't use him. However, everybody else can go use, if they have him upgraded or they picked him, they can go and switch, because you can go switch your star with 99 overall Shannon Sharp or a 90 something overall Shannon Sharp and you'd be just fine. There's no harm at that point, right?
Right.
I mean, at that point, you can go grab a 96, 97, a tier 24 here. He's a 99. I don't know if he's that high yet, but a 98. You can go grab a 98 with a 90 speed, and every other team can use the Shannon Sharp card. All they have to do is go in and switch. I went in and just switched mine away from Shannon Sharp because I wasn't using him, and I wanted to use the defensive tackle more when I play online. So I just went in and switched it because they have that ability. You just have to refund all your shit that you gave away into him and then drop him over. Hey, Gabe, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Sorry I'm late.
All right,
I was picking up some pizza.
That's all right. What'd you give me? What kind you give me? I know you got some pepperoni. Don't lie.
I don't know. It's called like Grandma's Pizza or something. Oh, it's like they're special at Rocco's Pizza in Brooklyn, New York. A little plug right there if anybody lives in Brooklyn.
Shout out to Brooklyn.
Shout out Brooklyn, man.
I mean, I've got you here, Gabe. Eagles.
Yeah.
We both selected you as probably the better grade. I think everybody did pretty well, but you going Barry Sanders, Lawrence Taylor, Amari Cooper, and the Leighton Vander. We said other than the Vander pick, but of course I am being told I don't have any clue what I'm talking about. So you've got more experience than myself. So Gabe, I mean, did it end up how you wanted it to end up? Did the people fall to you where you wanted it? Was there one or two picks you wish you could have swapped out or changed for and
yeah,
better off?
That's a really good question. No, yeah, I would say it ended up better than I thought it was gonna go. But in terms of my plan going in, what we really wanted to do, we wanted Moss to fall to us, and I felt like there was a good chance of that happening only because of his price. But I knew Behe was a person that might be interested in scooping that Moss.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like if Behe fell, we were going to get Moss. If Moss fell, we were going to get either Moss or Barry guaranteed. Like I was so positive, you know. So either way, that's what we were looking at with our first pick was Moss or Barry. Where I really got surprised was the LT was available. That was very shocking to me. I had no plan at all going in of picking Lawrence Taylor. Like that wasn't even on my mind. I couldn't believe it. I totally thought he was gone.
Well, those back-to-backs with the Giants, we both thought they were gone. Giants, we were surprised with the Julio Jones, and then we're like, that's probably not too bad. He's a decent pick. You know, he's a good wide receiver. You know, probably one of the better ones left out there. But then we figured right away round two, Lawrence Taylor was going to be gone. You know, LT was going to be gone, although he was still there for you.
Yeah.
And you plan on moving him down to the line quite often and let your tackle eat?
And that's the thing. Like, again, we really weren't thinking about picking a pass rusher in the draft. The plan was that I was going to play on a D tackle or something like that. You know, I'm usually like playing on D tackles or get somebody you can move around. And again, if you look at this draft before, because I've been planning like weeks in advance, before the new stuff came out, we all were thinking like Tyreek 1, you know, Lawrence Taylor and Deion 2 and 3, some order like that. So I never really had Lawrence Taylor in the picture. Like, so when it presented itself, you know, I was going to go offense with my first two picks for sure. I was going to do either Moss and Amari or Moss and Barrett, something like that. Two receivers or a running back receiver. LT being there at that spot, I really didn't want to pick him because he is a pass rusher at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think he honestly is the best defensive player in the game. Like, he really does have the most impact. He's unblockable. He's a monster against the run. He can be a user. He does everything. He's 6'3", 220, 90 speed, 95 hit. He's a beast. And the debate was, damn, I have a chance to get LT right here, best defensive player in the game, in a crazy spot, but I really want this Amari. I think this might be a hot take. I honestly think Amari is the best receiver in the game. from a overall skill set standpoint. And I understand the Moss and Tyreek are faster, and I would rather have the Moss. But Amari is the only guy in the game with that type of size, with that type of agility. He's the only receiver with that speed, 93 plus with a 90. He has an 89 spin move, which is past the threshold for the max spin. So he can do the glitchy quick spin, which no other receiver can do that off rip. He has 90 break tackle, 90 elusiveness, the best run block in the game other than Larry Fitzgerald. Like, and I've used him. He's a monster when it comes to high pointing. Like he's a glitchy card, man. Like I couldn't believe it. It was a gamble for sure because I needed a receiver.
Yeah.
As you saw, there was a stretch where a lot of receivers got taken, and you want to get a premium guy for your team.
Well,
And in that moment, I was like, LT or Amari. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna just take LT because I know he's not gonna be there. Amari might fall, maybe, and he did somehow.
So with the new zero chill thing that just came in, we were looking up the Chad Johnson zero chill at a 95 overall compared to the 95 overall Amari Cooper, and this is based on MUT. I mean, that's what I'm using to kind of show here. The only thing that Amari has is 4 more in RLS, which I think that's the release from the line. And
That's
then
release, yeah.
Elusiveness 90, so he has a 3 overall for elusiveness. Other than that, they're pretty well lined up even. Other than Chad Johnson has better jumping ability, 95.
Well, another thing too, though, the Mari in game, his build, like Chad's really skinny, like really petite. He has the same height, but he's actually really frail in game. Amari's player build is really similar to like Julio Jones. He's very big and he's a lot stronger than Chad. That Amari has 70 strength. And again, his spin is the threshold. Chad doesn't have the spin move. So Chad, even if he had one less spin, he can't do the spin move. Like they won't let him because it's a hard cap on the threshold. So that's a big deal. Like being able to, because that spin move, it's the same spin move that Barry Sanders has. There's tiers, and it's the max tier. And then his run block is just significantly higher than Chad's. Like that Amari has, his hidden stats are very crazy. Like I said, that's why maybe he failed his price. And
yeah, I mean, I'm looking
the
at
Chad is comparable though.
Jerry Rice, for instance, was I
Rice
think
is
is a better receiver. I wouldn't say at that point, but I personally, but that's just me because his catch is available. He doesn't drop the ball as much for me going across. I need to cut across the middle or run a post or something. So although Amari Cooper beats him out of all of the rest of the stats, speed, he's just one little bit faster. Elusive's a little better. The spec catch is better. The release is better, way better on the release off the line. Other than that, about the same at the jump. So me personally, Jerry Rice, that's the only question I had there. Oh, Amari Cooper, but Realist was telling me you don't know Ice. When you look at him and you look deeper into him, Amari Cooper is broke. So I could be off here on this. I was just questioning that pick at that time, and to be honest with you, I was kind of questioning. And again, he told me I had no clue what I was talking about. Your last pick there at linebacker, was it Vander?
Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah,
Leighton Vander Esch, LVE. So
LVE.
one last thing on the Amari thing. Like he is better than the Jerry because of those other hidden stats like the spin move, the run block, the strength. Like he's a better high pointer. But I will say you're on the right track. That Jerry, in my opinion, is right there. Like if Amari had gotten picked, I was going Jerry, like for sure. So I do think highly of the Jerry card as well. I think his stats are also extremely good. And he's pretty readily available too, and that factors into this. What cards are readily available for the other line? Like some people picked cards that I don't know how the other line's going to use that card. There was some weird picks like that, but
they were looking out for
with
themselves
the
in their
Vander
line. Yeah, so the other line,
which is strange
figure
to
it
me.
out.
Like I'm not going to say like particular cards, but it's just a little bit like I don't know.
But you can still substitute those 2 for anybody else, so you still get 5, and there's enough 90 plus players. I don't think you're breaking.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like I don't know why you would spend a pick in the draft on a premium player for only one line to use it. It's a little odd to me, but.
I understand. I mean,
you're getting a good player, though.
Even Behe stated. I mean, I want to ask you a little bit about some other people's picks because he kind of explains yours a little bit. Do you have anything you want to add, Realist, before I jump off a topic?
Oh, I wasn't going to touch on the Vander Esch, unless Behe already said it, but pretty much the reason I went with Vander Esch, so people probably like, well, what the fuck, Leighton Vander Esch, hello? Like, your draft was so good until him, why'd you pick him? Which is a legitimate question, but it was because at that point, all the premium cornerbacks in my mind had already been taken. Like I really like the Enos Williams. He was my number 1 corner besides Dion. He's very well-rounded, fast, good size, and he has the best run support. I liked Patrick Peterson. Those are really the only two that I really had any interest in drafting. So once they were gone, there was nobody I really felt like, oh, I need to draft this guy. Like there's so many cornerbacks available that I can just get without drafting them. Same with pass rusher. Like there was no pass rusher I needed to draft, you know? So I was like, well, who's the best user linebacker available? And going into the draft, I knew, all right, well, if I can't get Barr, Raquan, and I can't draft Shazier because my other one doesn't have him, the best user linebacker, in my opinion, is Leighton Vander Esch. If you look at his stats, he is basically Anthony Barr with 1 inch shorter and 1 speed less.
Now this
He
is
has everything
why.
else.
Let me explain why I was thrown off here. Okay, just to kind of throw off.
Okay.
I was surprised
Yeah,
you
for
didn't
sure.
pick Shazier.
Well, I can't. I have the Shazier, but the other line doesn't. And there is no,
Gotcha. Okay. You
like,
were
you
going with
can't,
the.
yeah.
Okay, I understand that. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
I'm not gonna,
He's a 95 over. Because when you get him up there to those 95
right.
overall, he becomes
Yeah,
pretty
for
damn
sure.
broke.
He's a monster.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a
90 overall
monster.
speed, 92. That's was I was going like, why did he go Shazier here? Because but if it's the case, like I said to Realist at the beginning, I said, do you think owners are going to go with the best player or what's best for them? And you went with the what's best for both your lines. Both your lines have them. Both, you
Yeah.
spent that week kind of hitting the the war room with your other team and going, okay, what are your top players? Where without having to go out and
Right.
blow a ton of money.
And,
I
and,
told
and we're all really close friends that we've known
that's
each
good.
other, since Madden 11. So we trust each other. We can trade cards. Like, so
Yeah.
we're gonna have some pricey cards that in other situations. That's my draft strategy too. People were like, well, why'd you trade Underground for? I want to put myself in a position where we are all gonna be in a spot to where we can trade cards in, without worrying about something. Underground's my guy, but like, I'm not worried about him taking my cards or anything like that. But it was more so like fitting people in that
Yep.
can contribute to the team, and everybody's going to be happy to be able to have fun and be able to use good cards. If I draft Shazier, well, my line's set, but the other line is like, well, shit, I just got mad and I have an 80 overall Shazier. I can't use him. Like,
Gotcha. Well,
doesn't.
there's tons of other. At that point, you still could have went and used where
Right.
you
Well,
were.
well,
You
well,
could have
well,
still
well
went back and
yeah,
used Vander,
well,
and you could have
well,
used
I
Shazier
have
and let him use
Shazier.
Vander.
Yeah, I have Shazier, but even my line doesn't have Shazier though, because my coordinator is Pick and he doesn't
Oh,
have Shazier.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay,
because I'm playing
understood.
quarterback, so we couldn't use Shazier at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So I was
because you
thinking
can't trade
there.
him.
At that point, your thought process was, I'll take Shazier off the board for everybody else, because that's really what these 4 rounds are. I don't think it's going to hurt teams
And
too
that,
much. It's like,
yeah,
who can I not allow to user this beast, right? Rogo Paulo at Texas,
exactly.
James Smith went with Shazier, was the pick right behind you. And I just
Hmm.
thought, I don't think anybody was going to pick. I could have been wrong. It could have got to be he, and he picked him because
No, you're
he
right.
talked big
You're
about him.
right.
But like the
Yeah.
question I had for IR Brady, kind of talk about some of these other teams and the Giants. Why would you pick Aaron Rodgers in the 4th round? He is not superior in my eyes to the other quarterbacks that's available at after you get Vic, McNabb, and Young off the board. Realistically, you've got
Right.
so many other good quarterbacks out there that you could pick. Why would Aaron Rodgers be the go-to? He
Well,
might have his own individual reasoning. Maybe one of his guys has it and he wants to make sure they secured it, so nobody else picked him up. But it was 4th round. He had 7 more picks to go. I highly doubt. I would have gambled, but that's just me. Maybe Brady didn't feel comfortable gambling at that time.
yeah, before we get into any other picks, I'll just like say my one last piece in the Vander Esch. So
Uh-huh.
like you were saying, you were on the right track. The main reason I drafted him was because I said going in, I knew that if I don't get Barr, Raquan, or Shazier, I'm gonna get Leighton Vander Esch like undrafted. That's why I'm gonna use it. And I thought
Mhm.
to myself like, I'm sure other people are gonna probably look on Muthead and notice that this Leighton Vander Esch is a user monster. Like he's basically Anthony Barr. Do I want to have to deal with every single team in this league having a really strong user?
Gotcha.
Because
So you wanted.
why would I want?
Gotcha. No, I'm with you.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like
I'm with
I'm
you.
giving my team a good user, but I'm also now y'all are not using this budget beast user. Like y'all not using Leighton Vander Esch. If y'all didn't get a user, and there's only a few of them, then it sucks for you. You're gonna have to find somebody else. Because there might be some guys that are glitchy in terms of their height, like Leonard Floyd or something or whatever. There might be some guys that are fast. There's nobody really other than those 4 guys that are tall and fast as a user. They don't, there's nobody else really. So I was basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That was the main reason. I just feel like I'm getting more value by taking LVE off the board than I would by drafting a corner or a pass rusher that's probably going to go undrafted anyways.
Yeah, well, that's exactly
So
what
you're right.
Rayla said to me. He said it's
Yeah.
a user pick.
Yeah.
It's I want to use this guy. I'm going to use it. which is good. I mean,
Yeah,
both
yeah.
players
LVE
can
wasn't
use
gonna get
them,
drafted for
and
sure.
LVE was
Yeah,
so now that gives you a spot to use.
he's really affordable too. He's only like 80K. Some other line easily. It's no big deal at all. Like we both got our user beast. Nobody else in the leagues can have Leighton Van Der Esch. It just answered a lot of questions that we had for us at that last pick. So I know it looks kind of weird, but there was definitely some, you know, method to the madness in that pick for sure.
And without D-writing, like I said, me and Rillis both agreed that you probably had the better line of pick there with Barry Sanders, Lawrence Taylor, Amari Cooper, and even though I
Yeah.
like that question mark at the Vander, but again, user pick he felt that it was the best user pick for that situation. So
Right.
we figured that was the best there. But looking over everybody else's team, let's talk about that for just a minute. Realish, you have any other questions regarding
sure.
Gabe's picks or Eagles situation or anything?
Got lucky.
Yeah, got lucky.
I did, honestly. I really, that's truthfully what happened. Seriously, like, I feel like I got the best receiver besides Moss, in my opinion. And I got him with my third pick. I feel like I got the best defensive player in the game. I got him with my second pick. I feel like Barry, I'll say this. I'll give you a little insight right here. I was having a bit of a debate after the draft with myself where I was kind of like, I did get Barry, who I think is the best running back besides Ricky. And he's really fast. You can put him out receiving a lot of stuff with Barry, right? And it's a good back for my running backs. It fits their play style. But I was like, Devontae Freeman's really similar to Barry. Like, I almost wonder if I could have picked two receivers and then just got Freeman undrafted, would that make our team a little bit better? Because Freeman, he's not as good as Barry, but he's really similar in skill set.
Yeah, I don't think Barry would have went much further than what you grabbed him. I think he was one of the better cards in round one. But you would have went with.
If I didn't draft Barry, I'm saying if I went two receivers, I would have not drafted Freeman. I would have got Freeman because Freeman didn't go drafted. I'm saying if I went receiver, no
with
Freeman.
how it's set up, knowing what I know in this moment, not at the beginning of the night, but what I know finally by the end of the night after figuring it out, I don't think I would have went with. There's no running back to me that completely stands out to the point where I gotta say I gotta have that guy. Maybe Ricky Williams, maybe only because when he's maxed out, he's a beast. Barry Sanders,
just
again,
Ricky
I
and
love
Barry are the
Barry,
only guys.
but
They're the only
beyond
two
that,
I
don't
say.
see anybody that I can't replace with another style of running back.
And that's
I play
the
running
thing.
back, so
and
I
that's
feel
the
that
thing.
way.
Right, for sure. And that's the thing. Like I said, Devontae Freeman went undrafted. Freeman went undrafted, and he's similar to Barry. And you could argue that Freeman is more well-rounded than Barry because he has the trucking and strength aspect.
Absolutely, yeah.
But Barry is very game-changing because he fits the meta really well with his speed is. I mean, he's gonna have 96 speed with 97 spin, 97 break tackle. He's gonna be a serious problem for people to deal with that type of speed on the edge. Like this is that type of game. It's edge runs at outside zone pitches, get to the perimeter and spin move.
And for
Barry's
me,
the best at that.
On the flip side, it's the same thing with the quarterback. After Vic, Young, and McNabb are gone, fuck it, I'll figure out a quarterback. Like why?
I agree. That's exactly my strategy.
I can replace a quarterback.
You're totally right.
Whatever, because I know all of these quarterbacks. Even if you pick the top 8 quarterbacks, I'm still okay with the 9th guy. I mean, I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm still okay.
Like I said, I prepared weeks in advance. I have a big board with every single position broken down in terms of how I feel like they rank, and I have it for every single position going into the draft, plus a full big board of offense and defense. And I felt the same way. I'm like, there's no way I'm drafting a quarterback. And it really played into my hand, like really sitting getting lucky. When we were thinking this out, we're like, I honestly think Vic, Steve Young, and McNabb are going to go in the first round, which really helps us because now people are going to fall to us that we're not going to be there. Like, we're at the 7th pick. It's not really a good pick. And we were able to get LT and Barry Sanders, 2 of the best cards in the game. And it's because 3 quarterbacks went. Which I wouldn't have drafted at 7. You could have had all those dudes at 7. I wouldn't draft any of them except maybe Vic, just because he is so fast. But McNabb and Young, I wasn't drafting them at any point. There's just so many quarterbacks in the game that are, definitely usable. Like,
well, I'm not looking forward to playing against the Titans, the Texans, or the Saints as a defensive lineman because I'm going to be running most of the game and trying my best to slow them down, to contain them of some sort, right? Just because they're so quick. So as a defensive lineman, I don't want to face that. But again, I agree with you. If I was building a team, I don't think I would have to have that strong piece in order to be successful. I think I could still be successful without it. But looking at some of the other guys and the other teams and the other picks here, if you were to say, okay, who do you feel done the worst in the draft? Who would you say, sorry, buddy, you
done the worst?
You probably aren't a real.
Let me look. I want to say, without even looking, I want to probably say that I don't think anybody really did bad. I want to put that out there. You know, it would have been pretty difficult to just have a bad team considering it's only 4 rounds and there's so many good cards. So I think everybody did well for themselves. But if I have really looked, there was some picks that I questioned in terms of like why. Like, let's see, who was it that had Tyreek Hill? Who was that? Hog Crazy?
Yeah, Hog Crazy got Tyreek Hill in
Yeah.
the 4th pick.
The Ray
which
Lewis pick was a
before-
little bit surprising to me. The Ray Lewis pick was a little bit surprising to me because, you know, unless his other line has Ray Lewis, that card is not, you can't do anything with that card. He has to be fully upgraded with captain tokens. Like, and they can't use the new Ray Lewis that's coming out this weekend. So I don't know. I just don't see how how they're doing that. So if he can like come on and say like, oh well, I have my other line has Ray Lewis, it's not an issue, then okay, like that's awesome. Ray Lewis is very good. But if only one line can use a Ray Lewis, I don't know. Because if they think that they can't do that. Like the new Ray Lewis is coming out this weekend for sure. Just a little tidbit. If y'all know that Ray Lewis, T.O., and Shannon Sharp are coming out this weekend, but they can't use that Ray Lewis because after the draft. So like, and you can't. The way the captain tokens work, you had to have been playing all year to get your Ray Lewis to that overall. You can't just start playing and upgrade them with captain tokens.
Yes.
So that pick was a little bit odd to me. It was his 3rd pick, so it's not like the worst thing, but that one surprised me. And Darius Slay surprised me a little bit too. I think he's a very good corner, but I don't think he would have gotten drafted. I think he's good, but that one was a little bit odd. Same team that drafted Aaron Rodgers. But I'm not going to hit on the Aaron Rodgers pick too much because this is something you might not know, though. Every quarterback in the game has a specific throwing motion catered towards them. Like they added that this year.
Yep.
And Aaron Rodgers actually has one of the fastest releases on the game. So maybe the guy that plays quarterback for them is really comfortable with A-Rod. He's pretty mobile. He has a good arm. Like he does everything well. So maybe that's just who they like. So I'm not gonna. And it was their last pick. Like
Well, I absolutely
would've
hate
drafted
Aaron
quarterback,
Rodgers, so
but-
I won't agree with you on that one. But that's only because I'm a Vikings fan, so I have to hate Aaron
oh,
Rodgers
okay.
and everything
yeah.
about him.
His throwing motion is really glitchy.
Yeah.
Like conversely though, Patrick Mahomes, really good card stat wise. He has the worst throwing motion in the game.
Yeah.
It's literally garbage. Like it takes so long for the ball to come out that you almost have to have Gunslinger on him. Like you have to. Mahomes without Gunslinger, like it's a problem. Seriously, it comes out so slow.
And you
So
can't
maybe they
use
just like Aaron Rodgers
Gunslinger,
throwing
am I
motion.
correct? Like you can't add Gunslinger to one of your
Yep.
guys. Oh, you can?
I don't
No,
think
you
so.
can't.
Yeah,
You can add
you
it?
can't. I don't think.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
Can,
You
I
cannot add it. Okay, good.
Yeah, you can't.
That's
So
what I
yeah,
thought.
I mean
Yeah, so
Mahomes.
you
If you
don't
pick a
bother.
Mahomes, then
Yeah. Well, Mahomes didn't get
Better get
picked, but
used to
people
that
can use them if
fucking
they're
windup.
comfortable with using them, so they're still out
Right,
there.
right.
And now it leaves a lot of different quarterbacks for you to face. I mean, with only 8 teams, that's going to happen. I imagine with 16, you're going to see a lot more quarterbacks picked because then you start getting after 16 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
What do I do? But with 8, I can think of top 10 guys, and if there's only 4 or 5 picked,
there
I'm good.
was 2 more picks that surprised me that I'll touch
Okay,
on real
which one?
quick. And I'm gonna assume that it was more so of an availability type thing, like they already had him. But the
Uh-huh.
Earl Thomas pick, and which isn't that? I mean, he's a good card, so that one's not like the worst. It was just a little surprising. Like that was kind of Earl Thomas. And he's not very tall, and range is really important on this game, so he's not gonna cover as much range as taller guys. His stats are really good, but it was just I was a little surprised at that. I don't think it's a bad pick by any means, though. But the Champ Bailey pick really, really surprised me because it's the same thing as the Ray Lewis. You can only get that card with 5,200 snow. There's no other way to get that Champ Bailey. So unless the other line, because it's NAT, so unless the other line has that Champ Bailey,
you can't trade it to him.
I just don't understand that strategy.
Gotcha.
But if the other line has a Champ Bailey, then I'm perfectly cool with it. I think there's better corners than Champ Bailey. I think Pat Pete's better than him, to be honest, and he's tradable. But the Champ's good though, But I don't think anybody made like a pick where I was like, that's garbage.
How do you feel
Like,
about
what
the
are you doing?
Darrell Green pick? I mean, Realist was saying that he's kind of short and he's going to get teabagged by some of these bigger receivers.
Yeah, I'm assuming they picked him just because of the speed. It will be difficult. I'll say this with the height. It's not as important on this Madden as it was on other Maddens. Like on other Maddens, being 5'8", you're fucking done. Like it's a wrap. You're fucked. On this Madden, they let you get animations based on your ratings. So since he has high ratings, they will let him compete on jump balls. For me, though, the height where it really impacts you is your range. Like I was saying with Earl, that Darrell Green, even though he has high speed and zone, he's not going to be able to get to certain passes because of how short he is. And he doesn't make up for it in jumping. So there's going to be out routes, corner routes, posts. There's going to be spots where other corners that were a little bit taller, they would be able to get to the ball and swat it or pick it. He's not going to be able to get to those. But he's not going to get beat over the top at any point, though. You're not going to have to worry about, you put him man up on any receiver in the game other than Moss. Like, he's not getting beat deep. But high point wise, yeah, no, it will definitely. But you have to use your high points anyways. So, I mean, I don't know.
Well, last but not least, how do you feel about the 4th round George Kittle pick by Behe?
Again, surprising because he didn't have a receiver besides Moss. But I don't think it's a bad pick only if they know how to use a tight end effectively with like, corner out. I'm not going to get into like strategy because, it's a competition, but there is things you can do with a tight end to take advantage of his speed because he is really fucking fast. And other teams, unless you're doing a thing where you're putting a receiver at tight end by doing if you like called like a play, did a formation set where it puts 4 receivers out there and then you audible into a different play, so you have 4 receivers. Having a tight end out receiver can be a hindrance because they're all really fucking slow, except like George Kittle and Shannon Sharp. Gotcha. And you can do some really nice things to take advantage of that speed. I'm not going to say particularly what, but if you know how to do that,
falls in that same Champ Bailey, Shazier mentality. If you didn't pick him,
right.
And I wasn't aware of that. I know I upgraded my Shannon Sharp. I just actually switched him out because I wanted to. So I refunded all of his stuff I put on him, and I wanted a defensive tackle instead because that's
a lot of last training.
So me too. I didn't get.
Me too.
I wanted to switch over.
D-line life, bro.
Yeah. So
I might have to move on to the LT though. A couple of plays.
Now there's a lot of you being a D-line. There's a lot of D-line available to use now as your 590 pluses. On that side of the ball. I mean, if they just give you one, I mean, you can really do some work on the offensive line being in the 80s, 80 to 83 on the offensive line. Now you can do some major work with an LT or even a Khalil Mack or something. I mean, those cards are still right out there to use and utilize. So,
which is why I didn't draft it. That's again, it plays into why I picked Van Der Esch because there's so many high-level pass rushers that. And I'm really good at the game, like with the patch. I was playing the other day with I'm not going to say who, but a budget beast that's going to be on our team that fits the guidelines. He's like 83 or under. And I was getting in on 95 overall, like Lane Johnson's and shit pretty easily. So,
well, Max,
I don't need like the best pass rusher ever.
Yeah,
I don't need the best pass rusher ever. And there wasn't anybody that was like that LT level difference maker in my eyes at that point.
I agree.
So I was like, well, I'm gonna go Van Der Esch. Same with corner. Like there was no corner because there's still a lot of corners without naming names. There's a lot of really good corners that have 90 speed and 90 zone available right now that I will have on my team that I know I didn't have to draft.
So we'll play you the first game in order to see what you have, and we'll just copy it because nobody uses them. As for Mags, like I was saying with Mags, there was a linebacker. He was like, God, I hope this guy doesn't get drafted. He's a steal at an 83. Like for an 83, he's a dirty user. Like I can user the hell out of him. I don't know exactly who it was.
I think I probably know who it is.
I think
I know exactly who it is.
He was definitely hyping up as he's a linebacker. So he was.
Might have name dropped him earlier in this.
You might have said him. I don't remember one way or the other. But for the 4th rounds, realistically, in the 4 rounds, what you're trying to do is. Realistically, how can I take those user specialized guys that nobody else can use? How can I hurt their team by helping my team type of thing? Because realistically, you're still, like you said, going to have a lot of cornerbacks that's going to stand out. You're going to have a lot of wide receivers, not wide receivers, but running backs. I think even quarterbacks.
For sure.
I don't think you're going to hurt any position, especially being able to use
and that was honestly my mindset going in. It was getting myself the best team, but also kind of causing a panic effect or a trickle-down effect. Because if you'll notice, all my picks caused that ripple effect. I picked Barry. Everybody's like, dang, we got to get a running back. You see a run of running backs going, and now people aren't able to get the running backs they wanted. I pick LT. The next pick, Clowney. These are like, they're kind of like, oh, dang, it gets LT. Well, now I got to get a guy that's comparable to LT. I'm going to get Clowney. I pick Amari, and now you see people are even having to draft receivers that aren't as good as Amari, like, Tim Brown. Like, Tim Brown's not near as good as Amari, like, to be honest. But you have to get a receiver. Like, there's only a certain amount of good receivers in the game.
Yeah.
And then Leighton Van Der Esch, you all need to use a linebacker. I'm going to take the best one available left, and now none of y'all can use them. Yep. So that was, I think, the same way you were thinking.
Yeah, definitely. How can I hurt the other team? I mean, the first pick, my team would have gone down the hole on my personal team. If the first pick's Michael Vick, I'd have been like, yeah, I'm screwed. Because I don't have any other quarterback other than Michael Vick on my team. I would have had to go out and buy one. They're out there, don't get me wrong, but I'd have been like, oh, shit, I got to go spend coins. But anyway, appreciate you on always, Gabe. Yeah, I appreciate your expertise and what you know about the league. I said you and be here probably the more competitive in this year's Madden on a different stage. than the EFL. So I really appreciate both you guys being owners here and doing what you do to make the league better.
For sure.
Wish you the best throughout the season, and Eagles got a pretty good shot. I can't say go Eagles because, like, again, I'm a Vikings fan, so I'm kind of like fuck Eagles.
Right.
But I wish you the best for the Eagles moving forward. Now, you from Boston? Why are you picking the Eagles? Really?
Oh, I'm not from Boston. I'm from
Or Brooklyn.
Stockton,
I'm sorry, you
California.
said
I don't really
Brooklyn.
have a...
You're from Brooklyn.
Yeah, I live in Brooklyn
Why
right now.
you
Yeah, I
want
live
Eagles?
in Brooklyn now. I'm not really from anywhere.
Huh?
I'm an Eagles fan.
Oh, okay.
I'm an Eagles fan. So.
Okay.
Eagles
All
and
right,
Falcons. I grew up as an Eagles and Falcons fan as a little kid. So went to a Falcons Eagles game when I was in like the second grade.
I could
in
say go
Atlanta.
Falcons without hurting my pride at all, but I can't say go Eagles.
There you
But I
go.
wish you the best to you.
Yeah, both of them.
Gabe.
Both of them suck. Yeah.
Realist, you have any other questions
I
for
will
Gabe before I let him
never
off?
in my life, I will never in my life say go Falcons. It's just more of a go Julio Jones.
You feel me? Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Whoever got Julio Jones, man, that hurt me. I really wanted to
That
get
was a
him, man.
pick
It
right
hurt
after
me,
yours.
man.
I mean, you were probably waiting,
Yeah,
what,
whoever
third
got
round,
Julio.
get Julio? Second,
Yeah, I
third
really wanted
round?
to get. He went kind of high. Surprised
First
me.
round,
Who's first
He's a
round?
dog,
first round,
though.
first
Yeah,
round, 8th
he's
pick.
a dog.
It's only
Right
one
after
Jet
you-
Jones.
Yeah.
It's only
He's a
one Jet
dog, man.
Jones.
He's really good at the high point. I think Amari's better than Julio because he has the spin, and he's faster. But other than that, I mean, they're really similar, to be honest. He has similar strength, run block. So, I wanted to Julio. Whoever got him, good shit for y'all. I'm definitely excited for the season. But anytime y'all are trying to have me on, though, talk, definitely down.
Appreciate it, Gabe. Thanks a lot, man.
Have a good night.
You too. Realist, anything you want to go before I wrap up the show? We've been talking quite a long time, so it's time for me to get the hell off and actually.
Nah, quite a while. If you're ready to get on out, get on out, man.
All right. As always, I appreciate you. Thank you so much, and see you again real soon.
Boom.